Hi everyone. So today we are starting with our paper one, right? Um, all right. I'm taking this paper after such a long time because of this COVID. IB has been canceling this paper. For the first batch, right, I taught this paper. First batch means during this pandemic. I taught this paper, but unfortunately, this could not take place. For the second batch, again, I didn't just teach this paper because it was already cancelled. And then you have the present batch, right, grade 12. So again, this paper is cancelled, so this would be useful for the current grade 11. Those who are in the current grade 11, or those who would be opting global politics in future. So this is about this paper one, what we would be discussing today. It may go a bit lengthy, right? And at times it may be boring. Pause it, take a break, move around, and in case if you have question, then on that particular minute, pause it, write it in the comment below. I will try to answer your query. So let's get started with our paper one without further ado. So I have written down a few of the things over here. I would be using my site, which you already aware, which is glopo dot info, right? The moment you will type glopo.info, you will see my site, and majority of this paper one I would be covering from there. Now in this paper one, I'll just tell you some of the basics regarding SL or HL. As you already know, I have covered in one of my videos. This is for both, right? This is for, let me use a different color because I have already used, okay. So this is for SL and HL, right? Now, what would be the weightage for SL student? This would be 30%. What would be the weightage for HL students? This would be 20%. Marks would remain same for both the SL and HL. So far, so clear about the weightage and the marks. Now, marks I further divide into four categories. So there would be four questions, right? There would be four questions. First question would be of 3 marks. Second question would be of 4 marks. Third of 8 marks. And fourth one of 10 marks. So that means total 25 marks. Clear? So these are the four questions what we are going to cover. This is known as the stimulus-based paper. You would be given 4 stimuli, which would be from 1 unit out of how many units? Out of 4 units, right? We have already covered this one also in our video. So there are total 4 units, and you would be given 1 unit out of 4 units. The name of the unit would be written at the top of your paper. If examiner is asking from PSIR, then it would be written power, sovereignty and international relation. In case if examiner is asking particularly about migration, then it may be written migration under human right, or definitely human right would be written. Why did I use maybe? Because in case if examiner is even pointing further about particular topic under that unit. So clear, this is a stimulus based paper, or you may call it even the comprehension based paper also. Comprehension, right? Comprehension based paper as well, or stimulus based paper, where the 4 paragraphs would be given, 4 stimuli would be given. Now this is about the basic of these things. I would be covering all these pointers under my site, which is glopo.info. Now here we start with our paper one. Let me start with my pen tool. Okay, I'll excuse me, I'll start it later on. Once you will open glopo.info, you will reach over here, and here I have used from UWC Lipuchun. This is very famous, which is circulating online about question 1, 2, 3, 4. But this is the same what I have already described on that whiteboard tool, right? So this is about the basic about HL, SL, and how to attempt. Now, how to attempt, that we would be covering in detail through this one. So once you click on assessment, see, you can see assessment over here. Once you go to assessment, you see paper 1, paper 2 engagement activity HLX. Under paper 1, once you click, this pops up. This we have already covered. Then I use this drop down arrow and I go to question number 1. So now what we would be covering, now I will be using pen tool, but the only problem of the pen tool that the moment I click on this one, then I'm not able to scroll up and down. So I mean, I may take pause while, so it's completely fine in case if I'm using this one to make you understand better about this one. So I would be taking you through all the 4 questions, right? So let's begin with question number 1. Question number 1, what does question number 1 look like? Understand that AO1, now let's use this one, okay. So this one talks about knowledge and understanding. Fair enough, this is talking about knowledge and understanding. Now here you would be given the command terms, right? You already know what are the command terms. Command terms, whenever you examiner is framing a question, examiner is using some command terms to ask you to write your answer accordingly. It could be identify, describe, analyze, to what extent, explain. Okay, any of these command terms can be used over there. So for question number 1, examiner would be asking or examiner would be giving you the command term either identity, describe, outline, or define. So if you see, then these are more like description, right? It is more talking about the facts. It is more talking about what, when, right? So more about the etc. More about all these pointers. It's not going into depth of why and how. Fair enough. This is what the question number 1 will look like as per the command term, and this is inquiring your knowledge and understanding of that. Now, in case if you want to see the definition of the command term, I have already written down the definition. Good, I'm able to scroll it down and up, so I thought that I won't be able to do it. So now we take up question, right? The question of one of the past year papers which has already been asked. Now remember, in this one it can be given cartoon, it can be given graph, it can be given map, or very short paragraph, right? So it can be given anything in this question 1. I have already said to you that this would be of 3 marks, right? So this is very easy to score, right? One can score 3 on 3 in this. And how much time one needs to dedicate to write the answer? So this is 5 minutes. Do not give more than 5 minutes, because this may look like very easy question. You may tend to give more time to this one. Don't do that, because this is of 3 marks. And in case if you write 3 clearer points for this question, you score 3 on 3. How you are going to approach this one? I have one paragraph which I'll be showing you. So this is what the question was asked. This pic was given and the source was given. Please mind it, when you are seeing the pic or map or any statistical data or anything which is given in your source A, so please have a look even at the source also, from where they have taken this one. What the question is asking: with reference to source A, identify. So that means, what is the command term? Identify three ways in which non-state actors can influence global politics, right? So it is simply asking you that write down just three ways in which non-state actors can influence. You can write in the point format, two, three, how many sentences? So just 2 to 3 sentences. Okay, do not write more than 2 to 3 sentences, else you will have to compromise with your timing. Clear enough? 2 sentences would also work for this one. So these are the 3 pointers, and the moment you write correctly all the 3 points, you get 3 on 3 for this one. Fair enough? Now we move further, and now we need to remove this one. Yeah, okay. So now important points to consider: highlight the important words from the question, look for the answer from the source or something that the source highlights more generally, make a reasonable connection between the photo and your point. You can use either the image or the text describing the image, which I showed you, right? The source of that image. Remember that you have to give 5 minutes, as I have already told you about this one. This can be written either in the point format or in the paragraph format. All right. So either you can use the point format or you can use the paragraph format. Maximum of 2 lines of each point you need to write about this one. Clear? Now mark scheme of the above question. This is the mark scheme which is given a sample response. Here I have pasted a sample response also. The candidate scored 3 on 3 for this one, right? Now this is not the way which I am suggesting to you, because I am suggesting to you to write in the point format, 3 clearer point format, but it's completely fine even if you have a habit of writing in the paragraph. It's completely fine. Then principal examiners comment on this one. So this is what I have already covered, so I'm not going to repeat it. You already have the access to the link, you can read it. Clear? Question number one. Question number one, it's very easy. I reiterate the point that this is of 3 marks. It should be given approximately 5 minutes. You need to write down 3 clearer points. Anything can be given for this one. This is the shortest answer, the shortest question, and the smallest paragraph which is given to you. This is question number one. Do not lose your marks on question number one. Let's move on. Let's move to the question number 2 now. So here I again go to assessment, paper 1 drop down, and I pick up question number 2. All right, and what does question 2 look like now? So let's open our pen tool. Okay, now what it says, it talks about assessment objective number 2, which talks about application and analysis. Now remember, here you would be applying your knowledge, you would be reading that paragraph, you would be analyzing it also. What could be the command terms for this one? It could be explain, analyze, distinguish, and suggest. So that means these command terms, they are not just asking you the factual data, but they are asking you to explain a bit more, to analyze a bit more, right? Now the definition of these command terms I have already given to you. Now we need to close it down to go further. Construct your response. Now remember, this is something which is telling you that, let me put it up. Okay, now as I said that this is asking you to go bit in more depth of your response. Clear? 4 marks. 4 marks would be there. Again, can you score the full on marks over here? Yes, you can again score 4 on 4 if it is written properly, if you are aligned to your question, if you are aligned to your answer also. How much time should you give while writing? So 10 minutes, right? So we have already covered 5 minutes for the first. Now we are covering 10 minutes for the second question. Structure, how you are supposed to structure. So there should be 2 paragraphs now. All right, there should be 2 paragraphs. One paragraph should be out of your stimulus which is given to you, or the paragraph which is given to you. Fair enough? This is the first paragraph, and then you have the second paragraph where you would be using your own knowledge. Okay, your own knowledge you would be using in the second paragraph. How many sentences? So 3 to 4 sentences, right? 3 to 4 sentences you can write for the first paragraph and then for the second paragraph. Fair enough. These are 2 paragraphs what you are supposed to write. Now I move to the sample question, and here we see in the sample question, this is the source C which is given to you, because the question is asking you question number 2, but it's asking about the source C. Remember, not necessarily that the questions are connected to the sources. If the examiner is asking you question number 2, then it should be um, from the source number B. No. Okay, do not fall into this trap that you forgot to read which source is given to you, and you just tend to think that I have been asked source B. So no, you have not been asked source B, you have been asked source C. All right. So what the question is asking, using source C and one example you have studied. So that means 1 plus 1. All right. So that's why I said that use total 2 paragraphs. One paragraph using source C, that what do you infer from source C, and the one parallel example what you can build after seeing source C. Explain the reasons why international cooperation may be problematic for some states. So that means somewhere you already know, you have studied about this one, and this is given in this paragraph also. Once you have read this paragraph, you analyze this paragraph and write it down in 3-4 sentences as the first paragraph considering source C, and then in the second paragraph you would be writing about your own example. Fair enough. This is also pretty simple. In case if I'm your examiner and you have written down this one paragraph pretty well, 2 on 2, this also pretty well, 2 on 2, so that means total 4 on 4. Clear? So here you have already scored 3 plus 4, your full on marks, that is total 7. Okay, so let's move on. A sample response. Now you see the sample response over here which is written. Now again you do not see the clearer 2 paragraphs, but this is again acceptable, though I enforce my students to write in the 2 clearer paragraphs so that they are also clear that the first paragraph they have picked up from the source, and the second they are running their parallel example, they are running their analysis over there. Clear enough? Then from the principal examiner, what the principal examiner is asking, structure their responses in a clearer manner, separate their answer to question 2, a paragraph of evidence based from the source, and a further paragraph with evidence from their own knowledge. Clear? So 2 paragraphs are there. I hope question number 2 is also clear to all of you. Okay, so now let's move to question number 3. Guys, actually paper 1, it's pretty easy in case if it is tackled properly. I have seen my students from past 6 years, they have been scoring wonderfully in their paper 1. So these 3 batches, when they couldn't get their paper 1, they were kind of disappointed because they were hoping they can increase their score grade due to this paper 1, right? So understand this one, that paper 1 is scoring in case if you tackle it pretty well. So SL student, 30% can be yours in case if you are focusing, and HL students 20% can be yours. What does question 3 look like? Interesting now. So this question 3, it will have synthesis and evaluation. Okay, so it is asking you to synthesize your own knowledge with the knowledge which is given in the paragraph and evaluate. When I say evaluate, that means I'm looking at the pros and at the cons, right? I am looking at the similarities. Okay, I have missed a few of the letters. Similarities and the differences. This is what it is looking for. Now compare. What do you mean by compare? That is similarity. Contrast. What do you mean by contrast? That is differences. Okay. Now remember, in this question there is a trap, because at times the question is asking you just to compare. Okay. This question is asking you just to compare or to just contrast, or question can be given compare or contrast. Now here it is or, so that means either you can pick up compare or you can pick up contrast. Now one more trick over here: compare and contrast. Okay, a few of my students have fallen into this trap, and deliberately I actually, during their mock exams or the summative assessments, I design paper accordingly so that they practice more often during their mock exams, right? So compare and contrast, that means you would be including both similarities and differences. Fair enough. And all right, so this is all about that, how this question would look like. This would be asking about the synthesis, evaluation, compare and contrast. I move further, and how should I structure my response? Now here you see that 2 marks for each point. So that means that this question is for 8 marks, right? This is of 8 marks. Now when I'm asking just the compare, that means I'm supposed to write how many paragraphs? 4 paragraphs, right? One, two, three, 4 paragraphs. That means 2 points for each paragraph. Total, how many I'm scoring then? 8. But can examiner give you 8? Rare chances. Examiner may give you highest 7 also, because this is subjective paper. So majority of the time examiners, they restrict themselves giving 8 on 8, but in case if it is highly qualitative paper, so definitely you can go for 8 on 8 also. All right, so how much time you should give for this? This is of 25 minutes. 8 marks, 25 minutes. So how many minutes do we have? We have covered so far 5 minutes plus 10 minutes, and now 25 minutes, right? Now 4 paragraphs would be there, 3 to 4 sentences in the each paragraph, right? Now you can use quotes in this paragraph. Using quotes means that in source A, B, C, D, they are something which you want to pick up exactly. You can use it, but remember, do not use so many words, all right? It should not seem as if you are just copying pasting that paragraph. 4 to 5 words are more than sufficient for this one. I'm giving you one formula over here which would be very useful. This has proven very useful even while writing the college essay or some of the interviews also, because when my students are giving their interviews, and when they have been given any article to read and to infer kind of data, so that time even they use this formula. So this formula, it's really a good one. So when you are reading these sources, source would be given to you, you would be asked to compare two sources. It could be B and C, A or D, or any permutation or the combination for this one. So P stands for, this is known as pale taught. Pale taught. Okay, remember pale taught. This is the formula. P, purpose of the source. Okay, what is the purpose of the source? There you have to figure it out, that why someone is writing about this source. A, actors. Who are those actors? Non-state actors, state actors. Levels of analysis. What levels of analysis are given over there? Events, theme, economic, political, social, cultural, origin of the source, okay, and tone, whether this is optimistic or pessimistic. So this can be a great source to compare or contrast your two sources. Fair enough, this sounds good. Now we move to the sample question. All right, this is the question, what it is given. I have used the same paper, right? The same question what you saw in the first question, then in the second question, and now this is the third. So the question says or asks, contrast what source B and source D reveal about international cooperation on global issues. So that means you need to talk only about differences between source B and source D, right? So these are the paragraphs which are given. Now let's move further. How to construct your response. Like question 1, use both the text of the sources and the text describing the sources. So that means origin. What you studied about the Peltot, O, right? O stands for the origin. Now this is something which you can definitely refer. This is what I have already described to you. I have already taken you through this one. And 4 clearer paragraphs are asked. What is compare, what is contrast? Now one interesting point here I would like to take. This is now simple for you in case if it is asking just about the contrast, right? So you can just write the 4 paragraphs of differences. If it is asking about just the compare, you can write this in the similar manner 4 smaller paragraphs of similarities. In case if it is asking you compare or contrast, you can pick up one of these things. In case if it is asking you about and, okay, compare and contrast, what to do. So that means 2 paragraphs of contrast and 2 paragraphs of compare you write, okay. So you can begin it that source A talks about so and so, whereas source B talks about so and so thing. All right, that means this is called contrasting. Okay, then one more second paragraph you would be making. This source A talks about this one, however in source B one finds so and so thing. So that means 2 contrasting paragraph. Now in compare you can begin it that both the sources A and B are talking about the same levels of analysis, which is so and so thing, right? So something like that you can do this one. Now I move further because sample answer is also given over here. You can see it. Again, it is not written in the clear for paragraph format, but this one is also acceptable. For clearer picture, you can use the structure what I'm telling to you for clearer paragraph. But in case if you are not comfortable with that, you can use this one as well. Fair enough. Now I move to the last section of question number 3. This is about from the principal examiner. So principal examiner is also asking about the contrast 4 paragraphs to write, which should be clear enough. You can use your own knowledge. Okay, in between you can use the quotation. As I have already said, you can use some of the words which are given in the paragraph. Make sure that you are not copying pasting everything, right? It doesn't make any sense because examiner is looking forward your own understanding of question number 3 or of those paragraphs. Pretty simple question number 3 also. So in case if you tackle it properly, you may go for 7 on 8 or 8 on 8 also. Let's move further and tackle question number 4, which is our last question number 4 of paper 1. What does question 4 look like? So question 4 is something which is known as mini essay, right? Why mini essay? You can see that the marks pretty high. This is of 10 marks, right? And the timing we are going to devote for this one is of 35 minutes, right? 10 marks, 35 minutes. It is known as mini essay. The moment I say mini essay, that means I am demanding from you introduction, main body, okay, and conclusion. Fair enough. I am looking forward for all these things. What could be the command term for this question? It could be discuss, evaluate, examine, justify, to what extent, how far. Okay, these pretty long command terms which are asking you to write, analyze, evaluate it properly. These could be the command terms for this one. Fair enough. This is the question which asks you to synthesize and evaluate. Okay, you need to synthesize all the sources properly because it would be asking you to go through all the four sources, right, and evaluate it. It could evaluate means that you need to think about the pros, cons of that one. Now, this is about the nature of the question. We move further. How should I structure my response? All right. 10 marks, 35 minutes, introduction, 2 to 4 body paragraphs. All right. You can use either 2 paragraph or the 4 paragraph. It all depends on your time. If you have extra time, go for 4 shorter paragraph. In case if you have limited time, you can go for even the 2 paragraphs. You need to agree or disagree in the paragraphs. That means you need to even explore these paragraphs from different perspectives. Okay, perspectives matter over here. I would be giving you one more this formula for this question number 4. Further, concluding paragraph need to be there. So first let's read the sample question for this one. What is the sample question? The challenge of addressing complex global issues is changing the relationship of power among actors in global politics with reference to all of the sources and your own knowledge. It's not or, it's and. That means you need to include 4 sources, right? And your own knowledge. Okay, to what extent, command term, do you agree with this claim? Simple. This is pretty clear that this is from PSIR. So this one is from PSIR and it is asking you to refer all the 4 sources and your own knowledge. So in case if you are planning to use 4 shorter paragraph in the main body, so you can use first paragraph. Okay, first paragraph, what the source says, what is your interpretation. Second paragraph, what the source says, what is your interpretation, what is your own knowledge. The third paragraph, what the source says, what is your own knowledge about this one. And the fourth one in the similar sense. This is the one way to write this one, okay, where you are using source, your own knowledge, source, your own knowledge. Another way could be in case if you are planning to write 2 paragraphs, okay, in case if you are planning to write 2 paragraphs, then the first paragraph could be of you are using all the 4 sources, and then in the second paragraph, your your cumulative knowledge, okay, of all the 4 paragraphs. Clear enough? So either you can go for this one or you can go for this one. Either way is fair enough, right? Because you are mixing all the 4 sources, synthesizing all the 4 sources plus your own knowledge. Now let's see further. This is the sample student response and already it is given 9 to 10. You can refer this one and this is your mark bands, okay, rubric. If you are aiming for this band, then refer this one. Clearly focused, high degree of understanding of the demand, relevant and accurate knowledge, counter claim and the different views are given for this one. Okay, where did that all right, yeah, we have missed this one. Yes, we have missed this one. Now remember I was telling you that I would be giving you one formula. So this is the formula for question number 4. Dusk. D means different perspectives need to be there. A means you need to analyze or answer the question properly. S means use the sources. K means use your own knowledge. Wherever you will lack, you will lose your marks. Clear? Okay, and all these pointers we have already discussed. You can still go through it. What do you mean by relevant? What do you mean by accurate knowledge? Okay, in detail I have written down everything over here. You can definitely refer this one. Fair enough. This is your question number 4. So what did we do? We covered 4 questions. Question number 1, which is of 3 marks. Question number 2, which is of 4 marks. Question number 3, which is of 8 marks. And question number 4, which is of 10 marks. So total 25 marks. I have already given you the tentative timing, right? The tentative time or the duration to write each question. This is not requested by IB, but this is suggested by some of the teachers, what we are recommending, so that you do not give a lot of time for question number 1 and 2. Remember, because this is for the higher side, right? 8 and 10. So you need to distribute your time accordingly. Now remember that I have not calculated any of the time because I am giving you exact 75 minutes. So in case if you are taking more responses sheet or the answer sheets, in case if you have taken loo break or any kind of transition switching from answer 1 to answer 2, I have not included all these things. So be mindful when you are utilizing your time. Consider all these buffer timing. You would be given 5 minutes reading time apart this 75 minutes. So during this 5-minute reading time, get familiar with the question, glance through all the 4 paragraphs. It won't be that easy to read 4 paragraphs thoroughly, but just glance through it. Get familiar with the unit which has been asked. So in case if you see peace and conflict, make a friendship with peace and conflict. Take it easy. In case if you did not prepare peace and conflict, say it that I will nail it. I am familiar with peace and conflict unit. I will do it better. So build the friendly relationship with that unit which has been asked, and in case if you feel that you are not too familiar with that one. So good. This is your paper 1. This is very scoring in case if you do um, practice properly. If you make your structure properly, this is not that difficult because this has been categorized into 4 different kind of question. This is where I say that the ball is in your court, right? Where you can um, achieve 7 on 7 as well. This is something tricky. You require practice. Definitely you require practice even for this one also. But this one is bit longer, but you can again tackle this one also easily. Do practice on the past year question papers, and in case if you have doubt, you can either reach me out or you will drop your comment in the box below. Stay tuned and have a wonderful day ahead. Okay, bye.